It was a dark and stormy night, nor'easter rolling in. It's a long 12 hours, the power's out again. I pray for inner strength and that we don't lose no lives. Just another day in the first responders' eyes. Half a cup of coffee's gone, the first run comes in. A car slid off the road, there's a family trapped within. My heart beats like a hammer, I can barely catch my breath. I'm thinking the worst and hoping for the best. Yeah, we ain't superheroes, we're just ordinary people trying to make a difference, and the first on every scene. It's a heavy, heavy burden to carry all this burden when you can't unsee the things you've seen. It keeps going on. When those sirens are gone. Now my shift is finally over, I gotta deal with what's mine and try to find a way to leave those tragedies behind. So I hug my 2 children, I kiss on my wife. Just another day in a first responder's life. Yeah, we ain't superheroes, we're just ordinary people trying to make a difference, and the first on every scene. It's a heavy, heavy burden to carry all this burden when you can't unsee the things you've seen. It keeps going on. When those sirens are gone. Flashing lights fill the air, broken bodies everywhere. Another bad dream is stealing my sleep. 'Cause we ain't superheroes, we're just ordinary people trying to make a difference, and the first on every scene. And it's a heavy, heavy burden to carry all this hurting when you can't unsee the things you've seen. It keeps going on. When those sirens are gone, it keeps going on. When those sirens are gone.
Hey, welcome to the award-winning Mad Radio Show with John and Sam. Welcome, Sam.
Hey, John. How's it going tonight?
It's going great. Welcome, everybody, to your First Responder Network and Mental Health and Awareness Program. You know, me and Sam have been doing this for a long time, and we continue to meet people each and every day who are battling and struggling, and all they need is a little guidance and a couple of tools in their toolbox to really make them feel whole again. And, you know, that's what we want to bring to you each and every week. With that, we also bring organizations that help our first responders battle. And I want to use the word battle because of our guest that we have on today with Guns and Hoses. The the battle he pushes every day is to train our first responders in boxing, and that gets them physically strong, but it also mentally prepares them for the streets. It mentally prepares them to be out in a civilian life. It keeps their minds fresh. So between our first responders, firefighters, and our police officers, he does amazing work throughout the community, helping our first responders in ways that I'm sure he knows, but many people just see it as a boxing match. But this is one of those tools that are used in the mental health awareness programs. You agree, Sam?
Absolutely. Physical fitness. Ask any healthcare practitioner and they'll tell you it's got to be part of your recipe for great mental health. And, I just want to quickly give a shout out to the chief of the Springdale, Ohio Police Department. Story came out today where he is very open in his battle with post-traumatic stress, how it all started with a line of duty death of one of his young officers, and her death really impacted him, and he walks through like where he'd be and what would happen, almost like a flashback scenario. And it's really what we need to hear more and more. And we need to have departments that have chiefs, that have command staff that openly talk about, what they've experienced or are in it right now. So Chief Thomas Wells, thank you so much for just making post-traumatic stress real in what it means to be a police officer. And, again, kudos as a chief for coming forward. And he, it's out in the press. You can go to, you can look him up and then find that video from today in one of the local papers, but it's like an online publication. So that's Chief Thomas Wells of Springdale Police Department. So huge shout out there, Chief.
Big shout out. Hey, if we're giving shout outs, and it's a shout out, but it's not really a shout out because I do not follow a lot of his views, or I'm not in his political party, but I got to give a lot of kudos to. I know I'm going to get a lot of crap from the NYPD on this, but
I knew you were going to go there.
You knew I was going to go there. I don't follow his views. I'm not.
Right.
But
we don't support. We don't endorse or support.
I gotta give him kudos for taking control of that shit show of New York, and you know what, and taking it away from De Blasio. He's got it. Eric Adams, I wish you the best of luck as mayor-elect and mayor of New York City. I hope, and I pray that you will support our brothers and sisters in blue, which you're on a job, and take care of their mental health. De Blasio, the last mayor, could not care about our first responders. I'm hoping Eric will take the bull by the horns and really bring back the morale that is needed in New York City for our first responders. And he's not swayed by other political parties. So I wish him the best of luck. And I hope he changes things, and I hope he brings what is well needed to the NYPD, the FDNY, and EMS, and all our first responders. I hope he takes control of that. So best of luck to you and to the city of New York.
Well, who's not swayed by anything is our guest. I did a little
he sways me about it.
I did a little background on it, and one of the quote from him is always striving to do better every day. I found that, and that's what it's all about. It's not staying comfortable. It's not staying in your comfort zone. It's striving to do better every day. And that means living outside your comfort zone. I'll be the first person. I have never boxed. We didn't do that in the Secret Service. We had like fighting, and we did some ground stuff, but we never did boxing. I have been punched in the face though in training.
What do you say? Me and you get in the ring with. We'll have Dave train us. Me and you will get in a ring on a Mad Radio thing.
Yeah, no.
No.
I think probably Frodo, my ring dog, would probably run and like full on protection. What is this person doing? So no, we'll leave that to the experts, because I don't think Tara would like you to get in there either. So without further ado, first I want to let everybody know the comment stream is open. So you're going to definitely want to ask your questions. Let's bring Dave on. Dave, welcome to Mad Radio. Folks, Dave is the executive director of Guns and Hoses Foundation of North Texas. John gave a little bit of background about what they do. We're going to get into a deeper dive, because this is holistic. This is healing for a lot of the people that participate in it, and the overall message of giving hope to the first responders that we lose in the line of duty. And what Dave and the foundation does for the families is key. So Dave, welcome.
Welcome, Dave.
Thanks, John. Thanks, Sam. Appreciate you guys inviting me on.
It's a pleasure. It's a pleasure.
You bet. Let's get right into it. Tell everybody listening, you have a really interesting background as a police officer. How did you get into that, and then make the transition into Guns and Hoses, and tell us about that as well?
So at the age of about 10, I really got intrigued by a Pennsylvania state trooper, and just the stature of the gentleman. It was you could just tell. I mean, the respect that just his demeanor. So I asked a relative of mine who was actually a state trooper. I said, I really have this desire to be that. What does it take to become a cop? And so we went through the gamut. You got to be fast of foot. Join the track team. You got to be able to type your reports. I was only one of two guys back in the 70s that was in a typing class with all women. You got to learn how to fight. So I joined the boxing team. You got to learn how to be able to talk people down. So I joined the debate club. You want to be able to entertain people with conversation. So I got into theater. All of these things were just me trying to prepare myself for ultimately what I wanted to do, which was become a police officer. And at the age of 18, when I graduated, I turned 18 in the air. I joined the military, went in the Air Force for that purpose. They were the only military branch that allowed you a guaranteed enlistment. So I went into law enforcement in 1976, actually delayed in 75. Got in the Air Force. Prior to that, I was, like I said, I was a boxer. My dad was an all-Army champion. Thought I was going to box in the military, but my first wife had other choices for me, so that never came to fruition. Went home to Pennsylvania. My life dream was to become a Pennsylvania state trooper. Unfortunately, when I got to Pennsylvania, the minority push was really big in 1980, and therefore white male candidates were going to have to score much higher than the minority candidates. My wife became pregnant. My second wife, she became pregnant. So we had a decision to make: live there on unemployment or move somewhere. So we ended up in Dallas, where my roommate from the military resided. My wife was pregnant with my daughter, who's going to turn 40 here in a couple of days. And she put on a pair of my jeans and went to a stop and go to get a job. And it happened to be in Garland, Texas. And the cops that were coming in there to get coffee, she kind of was impressed with them. And she said, well, when you come from small town Pennsylvania and you get to Dallas, Texas, and you look at that one ads in the Dallas Times Herald on a Saturday morning, you lose it. I'm like, where the hell am I even going to apply? So as luck would have it, God was sending me in the right direction. I was fortunate enough to be the last guy in the door to take the test, and I was the lowest person on the test. But somebody decided they wanted to hire me, so started my career in 1981. And
in Garland or Dallas?
In Garland.
In
I
Garland.
started in Garland. I was there until 2015, and when I retired, I had a very colorful career. Let's say in 1986, I was picked to be one of the first canine officers. We were bringing the dogs back, and in the fall of 1989, we were in the middle of a training session, and the dog that was coming after me was actually one of those dirty biters that would bite you through his muzzle. So I was in a place where I could not be bit, and it just so happened that I was hiding in a facility, and I heard the sirens take off, and I assumed that they were calling K9 away for a car chase. Made it back to my car and realized that we'd had an officer shot and did not know who or where. Responded to the area where they believed they were searching for the suspect, and while I was sitting in my car in my civilian clothes with my gun and my vest sitting in the passenger seat, my dog behind me, an officer gets on the radio and says, I think I got the suspect, and they look up and here they come. He was in a pickup truck, had a 12-gauge shotgun with triple-aught buck. He attempted to pull into the parking lot, was directly across the street from me and hit the tree. And as soon as he did, he come rearing back with the 12-gauge, and we were in a firefight. Lucky for me, he didn't hit me or any of the people standing around it. And this is where Guns and Hoses kind of began in my mind. His widow she worked in the courts. So we got to see the pressure on a lady that had only been married to her husband for 3 years. She became like teen mom for everybody. There wasn't really much of anything. We didn't even have an honor guard. So lo and behold, being prior military, knew how to fold the flag. I'm the honor guard. Dallas PD came in, put the funeral together for us, and I folded the flag. It was 32 degrees with about a 15-mile-an-hour headwind. My gloves were 4 sizes too big, and the only thing I could think about in my mind was, please, God, don't let that flag get out of my hand. I presented to her, and this kind of evolved. So I'm going to funerals. I'm working funerals. Things are getting kind of, extreme with me. Let's say 1993, I started in the gang unit. I was the supervisor of the gang unit. People were yelling at me because I'm a white guy that doesn't speak Spanish, and they wonder why the hell I'm in charge of the damn thing. And all the people that were in the gang unit were all white guys. So nothing really was working for the community because, the predominantly Hispanic gangs that we were having in Garland in the 90s.
Like cops stamped on your forehead.
Yeah. Well, I kept trying to explain to everybody that everybody I ran into spoke English, so I really wasn't sure who they were wanting us to talk to. 1993 goes into 95, and all the families are now looking at me as an answer. First, I was the problem. Now you got to have, help me with my kids. I got a gang member in my family, such and such. And because of my background in boxing, we decided to try to open a gym. So the city gave me a whole $625 and said, go out there and find a facility where you could put a ring in. So we found a little gym. It stayed open for about 6 months, and then it closed down, as most athletic gyms do back in the day. And we had to break into the building to get my stuff back. And one of our council members at the time actually knew of a building that was coming available. There was a land swap between the school district and the city, and we ended up in the location that I am at now, and we just kind of grew into it over the years. So here we are with this boxing gym growing by leaps and bounds. I've been burying these officers, going to these funerals, thinking to myself, it's nice and all. We have 1,500 to 3,000 police officers watching this funeral, but what if we could give that lady or that spouse $5? Couldn't that help her? Because I saw what happened to Miss Walker, which was the widow of Gerald Walker that died in '89. That, along with the fact that I was paying for the boxing gym out of my own credit card, it was time that we do something different. I can't afford to do this with the kids any longer, and I sure as hell ain't going to be able to help these widows by just driving to a funeral. That's when I ran into a gentleman that owned Ringside Manufacturing, and he introduced me to Guns and Hoses, which has been in existence for probably 36 years now in St. Louis. And
that's where it was. St. Louis is where it was born.
Actually, if you want to go all the way back, Houston coined the phrase Guns and Hoses because they have what is like an Olympics, so to speak. Police and fire competing from anything from tiddlywinks to boxing. And St. Louis borrowed the name the next year, and through that, they started this massive boxing tournament. I called and got permission to use the name, and their rule of thumb was as long as the money you raise, the majority of it goes to police and fire benevolent, which I was fine with. I said, however, can I still use some of that money to support these children? And they said, as long as you give that 51%. So in 2003, we actually had our first boxing event. Called everybody I knew, people that weren't fast enough to run away. And we built a foundation in 2002 and got it off the ground, scared to damn death about what I was going to put on. And I went out, and at the time, John Monaco was the mayor of the city of Mesquite. And I asked him if it was possible that he could help me try to get into the Mesquite Rodeo Arena. And on January of 2003, we put on our first boxing match.
Wow. And how attendance?
And hang on to the horse. Well, here's the funny thing. So the guy that was actually running the arena at the time, Mark Miller, he said at the end of the show, which I thought everything went wrong, could go wrong. At the end of the show, when I'm writing the check for the rent, he said, Dave, this thing probably won't be able to be here a couple of years from now. So what did I do? What did we do wrong? He said, nothing. It's just going to get too damn big for here. And, we were there for over 11 years. And then now we're at the Allen Event Center. Wonderful place, very accommodating. The people in Allen have been very gracious and kind and allowed us to grow and iron the wrinkles, so to speak. And we've evolved to where now Guns and Hoses is a 24-hour, 7-day-a-week program, to the point where my wife, who puts on the matches, and I had to retire from we said we had to quit our paid gig so we could work our free gig. And we do 2 golf tournaments a year. We have a hockey tournament that just concluded, and it was over 42 teams from all over the country. It is now considered the largest adult hockey tournament of its kind in the country. We just put on our very first clay shoot in October, and I do barbecue. So we have a barbecue competition. So you can just imagine running a boxing gym with kids and putting on all these events. I barely find enough time to sleep.
Now, Dave, I have to tell you, I was privileged to be at the last boxing match at the Allen Event Center. And I have to tell you, from a spectator's point of view, it was amazing. The volunteers that you had there. I've gone to a lot of events, and you see some volunteers that are there just because they want to be there, just because they have to be there.
Yeah.
Your people, every volunteer that was there really added to the event. I got to give a big shout out and a kudos to everybody that you had volunteering there. And I can't believe how many of them there were. Some of the most amazing people in the world.
So, the thing that I try to do at every event is I walk around and shake everyone's hand and tell them I thank you so very much for attending and being a part of this. And these are the volunteers. Now, these are all the Citizens Police Academy, Fire Academy alumni, some of the college kids that are actually going through criminal justice programs. I'm amazed and humbled every year that this thing continues to grow and that people want to be here. Actually, the referees and officials, they stand on top of each other to volunteer to be a part of the fight. Nobody gets paid. Organizationally speaking, our foundation, nobody gets paid. Our CPA, the attorneys, you come for the fun.
Yeah.
You come because you have a passion.
It was an amazing night. It was exciting, exhilarating. there was never a missed beat throughout the whole event. You sat at the edge of your seat because, and I got to tell you, the female boxing outdid the male boxing by tenfold.
No, everybody loves.
Those ladies know how to box. Let me tell you, I wouldn't get in a ring with them.
Now, are these who actually is doing the boxing? People that you train, or is this like police versus fire?
This is police versus fire. This is breaking it down to the bare minimum. So I run an amateur boxing program for kids, but the cops and the firemen have the opportunity to come in. Firefighters come in and train here. They train during the event. So rule of thumb, what we do is they all have to be evaluated at our gym, and then we try to find them gyms in the cities in which they live or work. So there could be as many as 14 different municipalities that are going to be included in the fight, the boxing tournament. I even threw my own daughter in there this year. She's a Garland officer. She used to work with Dallas. And she was going through some terrible times. She had a sinus infection and it just was killing her. She had about 6 weeks of it. And she said, "Dad, I'm going to fight. I don't care." She gave it her all. But yeah, the thing that I've tried to explain, and there was you guys remember back in the day when the riots happened in Baltimore. Mm-hmm. So Fox News went out and got George Foreman on TV and interviewed him. And they said, "George, what's different between now and then?" He goes, "Well, back in the day, those cops knew all of us, the little buttheads that ran the neighborhood." He goes, "And they catch you eventually, and they bring your ass to a gym and they train you." And that's been what I impressed upon the world when I was actually on the board of directors for USA Boxing for a couple of years. And I told him, I said, this will turn life around for multiple municipalities. Put a boxing gym, put the cops in there, get those kids trained under these guys like it used to be. Back in the day, it was either the POW or it was the preacher, or the priest. Somebody ran the gym. And I'm telling you, I've run this program for 26 years. We've got kids that I'm just blown away. Engineers, doctors, attorneys, cops, firemen, an airline pilot. A female that wouldn't say two things to you is now an American Airlines pilot. A lady that just recently went into the Air Force to further her education in dentistry. These people, I call them kids looking in the candy store window that haven't gone in yet. I mean, we're changing lives, and I'm making it gives the opportunity for police officers to see kids at a different level. Right.
And are these kids referred to you? How do they find you and get involved in the program?
They come by way of the courts. They come by way of teachers. They come by way of officers, parents. A lot of promotion comes by way of the kids that have gone in. They're wearing our shirts when they go to school, and there's an awful lot of inquiring. And we just started a beginner's class. 55 kids in the beginner's class. It never gets smaller. I'm just absolutely amazed. 26 years of doing this, I keep thinking this thing's going to shrink. Eventually, people are going to no longer think boxing's an issue. But what we do when we get the kids in the program is education is the most important part of it. We look at their grades every 6 weeks. We had a tutor here for 17 years until COVID. She had to step away because of her age and health issues. So we're working to get our tutor back. But we stay on these kids for grades. Now, we don't say you can't compete if you don't pass, but we definitely insist upon them going to tutoring, showing us the updates. We'll actually call the teachers. We have one of our administrative assistants here. She works in the school district, so she can pull their grades up every day. What we lack in society is what we need, and that's discipline. And kids love discipline, not disrespectful discipline, but good, hard discipline. I used to train dogs. I was in canine for 9 years. We started with praise and ended with praise, but in the middle, you gave them compulsion, and they responded to the compulsion. And you got to do the same thing with a kid. It's kind of simple, You have fun with them, and then you put the work on them, and then you have fun with them at the end. And a
lot of the kids that I don't want to say are lost, but maybe lost, come from broken homes. All they know is the street. And when people think about boxing, they just think about it putting on gloves and hitting each other. But like you said, there's much more depth that goes into boxing than getting into that ring and hitting each other. It's the discipline, it's the training, it's the competition, it's the camaraderie you build. There's a lot of character buildings that go into boxing.
I see a kid in the ring, and I can tell you just the way he boxes when he first gets here, that's who he is outside the ring. So point being is in 30 seconds in the first round, if he's dropping his hands and he's done, that's how he acts outside. He gives it his all for about 30 seconds, and as soon as he gets punched in the face, he doesn't want to play anymore. And if you can change his demeanor in the ring, you can change the way he works outside the ring. And that's, you tell kids all the time, the M&M factor, you lose your mind, you lose the match. You always have to keep your mind in the game. And giving discipline to a kid is allowing him the opportunity to go forward in life, get punched in the nose, however you want to call that, whatever you choose to call the punch, and still respond and be able to pass that up. I mean, everybody sitting here, John, Sam, me, we've all been told no many times, but we're still here. And we've done extraordinary things as ordinary people. And that's what I try to prove to the kids all the time here. You can do extraordinary things as an ordinary person. And it's very important for us to see that. And the hardest thing for people to, and I guess this is what I really strive myself.
Did we lose his volume? Hold on,
I'm sorry.
Dave. Sam, are you hearing this volume change? I don't hear you. Sam, I don't hear you at all.
That's because I muted myself because Frodo's chewing on his toy, and that the mic will pick that up.
I thought Dave's volume changed. It went to more tinny.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. The volume on your mic changed. Let me go ahead and continue, and I'll try and play with the.
Okay. So the thing that I throughout this endeavor is that you don't really ever know what you're capable of doing. And by doing things, I come out of the box and do strange things. I was in a band for a while. I've sang the national anthem at the Golden Gloves. I threw out the first pitch at a Rangers game. You show people that if you try enough, you're going to be successful at whatever you do. But also God involved. He's going to send you down a road that you may not necessarily knew you were supposed to be, but when you arrive there, you know why. And I wanted to be a professional boxer, but now I run the 4th largest boxing gym in the country.
Wow.
I did not know that was going to be where I ended up. My wrestling coach, who I reached back to, who just recently passed away, he gave me my very first pair of boxing shoes that were old wrestling shoes. And I called him and said, "You have no idea what those shoes did for me." And you got to pay back those people and let them know, thank you. I mean, one of our very first sponsors for the Guns and Hoses was Jerry Reynolds from the Ford dealership down in Garland. And he stepped away after the first year. I invited him to about year 5 and put him in a skybox. And I said, "Jerry, I'm bringing you here because I just wanted to tell you thank you. You helped me get this thing going. You believed in what I wanted to do, and you gave me the dollars to make it happen." So, you just got to reach back. From a SWAT perspective, we always say go back to the basics because you get too far down the road and you forget. So you got to come back to what started you and always pay homage to that.
And I would imagine that you don't do these events on your own, that you have a lot of people that have come beside you and the foundation to help this happen, right? Like, for instance,
absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. We, my wife told me if she don't let me get involved in this, I'm going to divorce you. So she's actually, I'm the gun, she's the host. She was a firefighter in the city of Plano, first female paramedic in their history, probably one of the top 10 strongest females in the world back in the day. She was a powerlifting champion. She put the matches together because she said, "I don't like boxing and I'm going to make sure it's equal." So she got involved. As my kids get older, they're taking over more and more responsibilities. I've had friends and family, business owners, people that have known me over the years that believed in what I was trying to accomplish, and they came forward and were willing to put it together. Doris Murdoch, she's the president of the Citizens Police Academy alumni, and she runs the state convention every year. She brings all the volunteers. There's over 150 volunteers that we do utilize for the boxing event. She reaches out to all of them. Neighbors, all of my neighbors, they drink a lot of beer. They're the ones who pour the beer on the floor the night of, not literally on the floor, but in the pitcher.
They poured a lot for us.
Yeah, we went through 34 kegs on the floor down there, so that was pretty, and
that was just our table.
Just you guys on the floor, and it was Modelo, and it was enjoyed by all. It seemed like, but those guys participate. They love, I give them a golf game now and again, and that's all they ever care for in payment, and it's just. I'm humbled every day by the fact that people want to follow what I've created, and I can't thank everybody enough. And I've been lucky enough to be on this earth. And my dad apparently trained me well. He was the guy that would loan you $5 and have to borrow $5 to get home. That's how we pay it forward. They owned a bar for many years, and I remember one time. I went into his bar and lived in Pennsylvania, and I said, Dad, I noticed there's no softball trophies anymore on the wall. He said, well, Dave, they'd come in and ask for sponsorship, and then they'd never come back and drink a beer after the game was over. So I decided, what's the use? What's the benefit? So I've always tried to figure out how to, I own a Chevy. Chevy's been our title sponsor for the boxing and for probably 18 of the 20 years. I drink Modelo beer. I go to Hooters so many times a year. They probably think, well, I'll tell you what, they gave me pickles and batter this year so I could cook it at my own house because they weren't open on Christmas Eve. Because for 24 years, we've been taking 40-some people to Hooters on Christmas Eve. What a tradition, huh?
Yeah, hey, it all works, right? That's all part of paying it forward. And I just want to touch on, because part of paying it forward and part of what you do is you make sure that the family members of the first responders, the police and fire that we lose in the line of duty are never forgotten, that they're taken care of as well. And this is a big piece of Guns and Hoses Foundation.
Yeah, yes, sir, ma'am. It is, and this all started with the idea that we were going to just try to write a check, and we started with a $5,000 donation to the family, and our rule of thumb is two things: we do it within the first 48 hours of the death, if we're allowed to. Some cities are pretty damn protective and act as if this person doesn't need to be around anybody, and I get that, and we respect that. Second thing is we don't tell anybody we're going. The one thing that and I appreciate it, and God rest his soul, but Russ Martin would do the same thing. But the worst thing that I thought was that he would do is he would put the check on the internet and show that he wrote this money. And I just thought that was a little arrogance on his part. And plus, not only did you're a little arrogant, but you also just showed these people out there, the scammers and the spammers of the world, that this person just received that lump sum of money, which is going to be the ambulance chaser coming after you. So we don't say anything. We go in there, we respect their privacy. We go in, we drop the check on them. That has kind of evolved with a interesting story of sorts. On Mr. McCullers, Officer McCullers died the day before. Well, let me just put back up. Officer McCullers was an SMU officer, and he was working a part-time job and got swept away by Swiftwater. It took, I think, 2 weeks for them to find his body. They found a squad car immediately, but I think he got swept down into a culvert. We made the decision that we were going to raise the amount of monetary giving to the family from $10,000 to $20,000. So we made that decision the day before 5 officers were killed in Dallas. We were going to go broke. If we were going to based on what we had decided, we didn't have enough money in the bank to write those 5 officers' families checks. The world responded, and we got checks from all over the world with no with no expectation of where that money was going to go, and they just wanted it to come to our foundation. So it saved us that particular day. But yes, now we give $20,000 to the family upon the incident. We give $1,000 at the very first Christmas and $1,000 to each child when they graduate high school to do whatever they want, further their education or just put a down payment on a car.
Wow.
Um,
Some people don't realize that that when you lose a spouse, and now you're a single parent with children, that monetary
Support.
donation support helps out tremendously. It means more. That helps putting food on the table, because a lot of people think that as soon as an officer loses their life in the line of duty, that they come into this windfall of money. They do not. Sometimes it takes up to 2 to 3 years,
yes,
to really get that insurance money. And what happens in those 2 and 3 years is they can lose their house, their car, their medical insurance. They can lose everything because bills still have to be paid, and they're not getting that paycheck anymore. So with what Guns and Hoses does is they pull them out of that they give them that I don't want to say wiggle room, but it gives them that comfort zone to say, "Ooh, I can breathe a little bit again. I can get my kids some food on the table." So
and
what you got?
Yeah, and even bigger than that is, hey, here's somebody who started small, has this huge foundation now, and they're not forgetting my spouse, our kids. That this is truly about, John, you and I talk about the thin blue line and living the example of what that truly means. And people will skew it, in this political time to, for their own notoriety and to make a great article. But truly living on that line is support all the time. The good times, the bad times, filling the need when somebody is in need, and taking care of it. And we have the blue line, the red line, yellow line. We got lots of lines and lots of organizations and people that are really stepping up to make sure that the families don't fall through the cracks.
Now, Dave, how many chapters are there across the nation?
Well, I'm familiar with about 7. The granddaddy of them all is obviously St. Louis, and they've been around about 36 years. Jacksonville, Florida has one. Some of them have different names. Not everybody has gone through St. Louis. It's interesting to note that after our event, Wichita, Kansas called us and requested some assistance by bringing fighters up there to make sure that they had a show. So believe it or not, we're still training 8. We're going to bring 8 of our male and female boxers up there, police and fired, for their event in November the 12th. They've had theirs. I think this will be their 3rd year. There's 2 in Texas, north one in Amarillo, and then one south on the border in Brownsville. And because Texas is so damn big, you can drive 12 hours and still be in the state.
Yeah.
And there's one in Evansville, Indiana that I know. I've not made all of the shows. I've tried to. There's one in Shreveport, West Monroe, actually. That they're called theirs the Battle of the Badges. The one in Wichita is called Cuffs and Axes. Now we're not actually bound by any rules. We just know each other and we support everything. Now you guys, New York, you guys do yours in Madison Square Garden every year.
Well, yeah, yep.
Just a small show, just really
small show. Yeah. Not just a cup, and there's not beer drank. There's no beer drank there. But the interesting thing that kind of transpired from this thing, Garland, Texas, back when I first got here, when I retired in 2015, we were only the 2nd generation of officers that actually retired. I mean, our town didn't even exist until our police department started in 19. So you get a lot of these cities, Frisco, Allen, Plano, that did, there were cotton fields. So by bringing these guys and gals together to fight, they actually learn who they are. I mean, these metropolitan cities didn't exist. Dallas has been in existence way longer than them. So what transitions is, they begin to become friends. They, now the Dallas kid that fought the Plano firefighter knows him, and that's somebody you can reach out to in that hour of need. I mean, we talk about PTSD. I was talking to Brian and Chris today, and I said, the biggest thing we need to do, the call for duty for us now is to shrink that 500-pound gorilla to a chimpanzee, and we all talk about it. And this gets Plano to realize that, hey, you're not on an island. There's other departments out here, and we're here. And my brothers and sisters that come to this boxing match and jump in that ring, they're fighting for some reason. They're fighting for somebody. They're fighting because their kids, maybe they got a divorce and they're bringing their kids together. They're fighting because they lost a comrade, either from the fire or police department. That's a great evening. We tear up a little bit, we laugh a little bit, we scream a lot, and we drink a ton of beer. But at the end of the day, those people all walk away knowing each other, and you can't buy that.
Real quick before we have to switch gears, I just want to touch on a note where the officers that you have boxing, right? When we talk about mental health, we talk about camaraderie, but we also I want you to touch on, because I think me and you spoke about this, the safety in the streets, and back when they're back out in the field, they built the confidence to not immediately go for their firearms. They learned how to street fight. They've learned how to handle situations in the street and be able to use physical force instead of deadly force.
Boy, that topic, John, it eats in my craw. We've given these people, they look like something from Star Trek, and the fear factor that exists in a young male or female that's out on the street that has all these tools that really don't practice with them. They're the taser, you shoot it a couple of times at a cardboard target, boom, you're qualified. It amazes me that we've taken the confidence out of these people. Working the streets, I was a wrestler and a boxer. I had a lot of confidence that nobody was going to really put their number on me, that I was going to control that suspect until, help arrived. And what we've taken out of there is the confidence that these kids can't handle it. And I believe in my heart of hearts that the reason they go to the gun is because they're too feared of utilizing their hands.
Or they've never been punched in the face. When you think about some of these people, they've only been in maybe one or two fights their whole life. Yeah. And one was probably with their brother or sister.
Brother or sister.
Yeah. So
who was 60 pounds lighter than them. Yeah.
So a punch in the face is fearful for them because they've never really experienced it. So they immediately go for that deadly force because they're out of fear.
You guys have seen it, the Monday morning quarterbacking videos, where you could tell that guy was scared out of his boots, and he pulled that gun and shot somebody because he made that gesture, that the evasive manner. Oh my God, he's reaching for the glove box. I've been trained. There's a gun in there. I had a guy pull a knife on me one time, and he put it up against his forearm. Well, I was smart enough to realize that I saw that, and I just shoved his head into the side of his door frame, and we got the knife out of his hand. You could have backed up and shot that guy, and you'd have probably been, it would have probably went to grand jury, and you'd have probably gotten a no bill. But why? If you have the confidence to react to something and you're paying attention, don't just willy-nilly around and show up in uniform and expect everybody to bow down to you. So confidence is very important. Confidence of that I can handle it. PPC training and all that stuff. Hell, if you don't train enough about it, you're just you're gonna make it look stupid.
But
that's what we talk about. We practice like we play. We talked about it on the show before, and that it also goes for building your mental health toolbox and making sure you're covered both on the job and then when things get quiet, the tactics and tools that you can employ to help, at those times as well. So yeah, it's a full package. It's awesome.
It frustrates me, John. You probably are aware of that, Sam, I'm sure. Yeah, they always try to dummy down these academies for police, and your physical being is what keeps you mentally sound.
Yeah.
And
when I started the police academy back in 1990, they had just done away with boxing. So in our training academy, we were not, because a couple of academies before got popped in the nose, they broke their nose, and they sued and everything else. So then it was hands off, and then you just did these takedowns, and nobody really had the hand-to-hand combat.
Yeah, no, I know it's goofy. It really is, and I can't believe that we, the fire department gets to train all the time, and they think of themselves as having to be physically capable, of handling the job. Yet they don't see that. What do they say? 10% of our job is physical, and the rest of it is all mental. But you have to have a physical being in order to stay mental.
Yeah.
And I'm glad our department, Garland specifically, brought boxing back, and they do it here at the gym, and we do a lot with it and help out a lot of the people from other departments, and they all come over, and they're like, when they have to be registered, they got to get evaluated. They're like, why don't we have a program like this in our city? I said, well, get it started.
Garland has really spearheaded a lot of good initiatives on both the physical and the mental health aspects for their officers. Got to commend Garland Police Department for what they do to try to bring forward, good quality change and a good mental health programs with their officers. They're spearheading a lot.
Jeff Bryan, the chief Jeff Bryan's really brought that to the forefront in a big way, and my hat's off to him. He sees and hears and does what he knew. Yeah,
that's great.
That's amazing.
I put up the URL. This is the website. Go to Guns and Hoses Foundation North Texas. It's abbreviated tx.org. If you want to know more. Super impressed with your board of directors and those that you have that they lend their names, like volunteer board, and you just have some stellar folks on there, and that is a testament to you and the level of commitment that you have, the level of professionalism with which you bring the events forward, and everybody there likes to have fun, and I got to go to one. I got to go to one of these.
Looking forward to next year.
Well,
when's the next event?
This is what I just took a couple of my boxing coaches fishing. Yeah, I get more enjoyment out of watching people have authority and responsibility than I do doing it myself. And you take ordinary people and give them a task, and man, watch them go. And they take ownership of it, and that becomes their little thing. Like my beer tenders, my neighbors, they order their own shirts. They have meetings for how they're going to pour beer. I mean, it's a job, it's a task. They become a team, and watching people evolve to become responsible for stuff, that's all people want to do. Is they want to, they want to be heard, they want to be seen, they want to be able to participate. And all I'm doing is pulling the engine down the road, and they take me where I need to go.
But it gives them something to be proud of at the end of the day.
Yes.
They say, hey, we accomplished this together as a team. So, that it's like I said, it just gives somebody a task, give somebody a responsibility, and not just a participation trophy. Yeah. And you'll see a whole different attitude when the show is done.
Yeah. Giving ordinary people an opportunity to be extraordinary.
Absolutely. And when is the next event?
So our next event will be the week of May 4th, and that'll be our golf tournament. We'll bring it back. That tournament will probably be almost 500 players.
Oh, wow. Okay. And can people visit your website and find out about that and how to get involved?
Yeah, I'm going to be real honest with you. So we'll open the website for the golf tournament in January, and it'll fill up by the end of the month. So if somebody has an interest in participating in that, don't hesitate. If you're a company and you want to put a foursome in, because you won't have much time.
How about volunteers?
Volunteers, if they reach out to us via the website, we'll turn them on to Doris. What I like to do is try to utilize their expertise, so to speak. What are you good at? What do you do? And then we kind of put them into a situation where they would benefit us based on their job classification. Instead of standing around, people don't. Some people like committing. The one thing about volunteers is if you don't keep them busy, they get bored and want to go home.
Right.
This is so true. Well, we can't thank you enough, Dave. I mean, this hour again, it seems to fly by week after week. Thank you for sharing your story with us and the founding of Guns and Hoses. Take this next minute or so, 30 seconds to a minute. You do so much for our police and fire out there. If there's an overall message to our first responders that are listening, what would it be?
Well, I'll tell you what, based on what I saw from the election of Virginia, keep your chin up because the pendulum is swinging. And, you came to this job for a reason, not for a paycheck. And you got to stay the course. You have to dig down deep inside of your body and stay the course of why you came here and what your commitment is. And don't worry about what the news says about us or how we're not doing our job. You guys are heroes in everybody's mind. And you're like an NFL sports figure. People want to get to know you, tell your story. People want to know what you do as a first responder, and don't hesitate to talk about it.
Oh, that's fantastic.
Yes.
Well, Dave, thank you so much
Dave.
again. We look forward, like I said, we will, this will replay. People will have access to your website, and hopefully you'll have more people to get involved. And who knows, maybe more first responders reach out and say, hey, we want to bring this to where we are. So just keep expanding the family. That's awesome. Go ahead.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I said people tell me all the time there's a book and a movie in it. I said, well, who has time to write it?
Well, there you go. Maybe if you put all your press things together and all the videos, you can write the story there.
You never know. Somebody may be penning it as we speak.
Hey.
Yeah, we've got James saying, Garland is a badass city. GPD is awesome. I guess he moved. He says, I miss my city. So James will come on back and visit for.
Yep. Did you freeze? Oh, now we got Dave and Sam froze. Oh, no, Dave's there.
I'm still available.
Yep. Sam froze.
Uh-oh.
But she you know what? One thing about Sam, she never freezes with a weird face. She always freezes with a pretty decent face.
She forgot to pay her internet bill.
Well, she's out in Rockwall, so there's a little internet issues out there, but she does okay.
Yeah, there is so much. Yeah. I'm missing
your message.
Missing
I
this
love your message. Never forget your why. Never forget your why.
Oh no. That's right.
That's the biggest thing.
Yes.
Dave, once again, she bailed. Well, she'll probably kick back on.
No, I'm back. Sorry. It got windy. The internet went out.
You turned your head.
Geez, the internet went out.
But once again, you froze with a good face.
Oh, yes. Awesome. Well, here's freezing with a good face.
I swear. Internet's crazy. The worst place in the entire Metroplex is right at Central and 190, and that's where all the internet world exists. So I don't understand why you lose phone messages there. I say this all the time. You know why there's 600,000 apps on your phone? Because it gives you something to freaking do.
There you go.
As he froze.
Yep. We're all in that same. Well, you're not, but we're closer together. So, Dave, thank you so much. Yeah. We'll definitely be on the lookout for that golf tournament. And thank you again for what you do. We'll be in touch.
I love you. Love you guys. Be safe.
We'll see you on the 22nd, Dave.
All right.
If not before.
if not
Okay.
before.
All right, take care.
God bless.
Oh, wow, what a take care.
God bless.
Oh, wow, what a fantastic show. Thank you for picking it up. And yeah, you just can't keep up with all this stuff with the internet. It's crazy. So as we talked about before the show, Friday, if you're a first responder, an active first responder in the area, visit abadgeofhonor.com. There's still time to register for our 8-hour workshop. You get T-hole credits. So check us out at badgeofhonor.com. We're doing a lot more with abadgeofhonor.com. You can visit our Facebook page. I do Solving Your Stress Mondays, where we talk about everything stress, PTS related, and other stress, and appreciate all the feedback and the questions. Keep submitting what you want to talk about for the Mondays. And if you are watching us on Facebook, thank you, Facebook family. Jump on over to our YouTube page, which is Mad Radio Texas. You'll see a picture of me and John. That's the correct. It's Mad Radio Texas, all spelled out. And follow us over there. And if you're part of our YouTube family, thank you so much. Jump on over to our Facebook page, and that's at Mad Radio. You just type it into the search. And again, you'll see John and I in our little picture there in a circle. You know, you're on the right page. You'll see all of the videos. We've got a jam-packed month in addition to the 2 workshops that we're doing this Friday. Next Friday, the 22nd, big walk the bridge out here. We walk the bridge the 22nd of every month, bringing awareness to post-traumatic stress and suicide for our veteran and first responder communities. Guys, the numbers are getting bigger, not smaller. So we want to show that we are united in an effort to support everybody involved. We've got Dave Bray coming out. It is a blockbuster walk the bridge. If you don't know who Dave Bray is, go on social media. He's all over the place.
Dave Bray USA.
Dave Bray USA. He's gonna play some awesome music for us, and it's going to be a very meaningful November. We're in Veterans Day on the 11th, so very meaningful walk the bridge on the 22nd. And don't forget to visit abadgeofhonor.com. See all our events. We've got a fundraiser coming up December 11th. If you are a first responder, veteran, bring yourselves. Bring your families, because the day is for you. It's a first responder and veteran family fun day. If you're a supporter, come on out. All of the funds go to a badge of honor to keep us with the ability to bring forward more programming, more workshop availabilities to departments around Texas and beyond. And we're going to have some additions in 2022, but we're going to keep that under wraps right now. And we'll be making some big announcements on how a badge of honor is growing and what that means for our first responder community as well as their families. John, every week, man, things we can, like Dave said, we can make the turn. Keep your chin up. Stay the course. Tell your story, because you never know. Just stay in the fight, and we can all make it through together. All of your first responders that are actively fighting here for us on the home front, thank you so much for what you do. We are praying for you every day, and for all of our veterans. We so appreciate your service to this country, for giving us the ability to do this, and for every soldier that is still fighting. We value what you do. Thank you for giving us the freedoms that we so enjoy, again, to be able to do a show like this and talk about the topics that we do, which last week we got a little naughty with,
yeah, a little bit
we got in trouble with the YouTube, but we still got it out there. So God bless everybody in uniform. Thank you, John. Take it home.
I'm just gonna reiterate what Dave said. to every first responder out there, to every military member out there who is feeling the strain and the stress of either the media or political issues. Never forget your why. You took the job for a reason. You can battle through this thing. The tides will change, and we need you. We need each and every one of you, because, man, there's not much coming up behind you. We need you to train our younger guys. We need you to keep us safe and protected and save our lives. So thank you again for everything you do. And until next week, if you could be anything in this world, please be kind.
Take care, everybody.
Good night, Sam.